What's going on, guys? I know it's been forever since I uploaded an episode. I think it's been almost a month. But yeah, I've been busy with schoolwork and that is my priority. So just had to take some time away from this and had to just focus on studying and all that. I actually have 2 tests that I'm supposed to be studying for right now, coming up this week, and I also have Chinese food on the way. So I'm very excited and I'm trying to get this recording done so I can upload this episode, go eat, and then keep studying. I know you don't need to know this, but you also do. It's pretty important stuff. So really quick, I'm just going to explain who's on this episode, who I talked to, a little bit about him, and then one update, and then I'll get the recording started. So on episode 11, I have Wolfie. He was actually the mascot for the university that I attend. He chose to not be anonymous. He went out of his way to be not anonymous. He actually yelled at me because I even asked him why. I even asked him even gave him the option to be anonymous. He's pretty tame, honestly. I was kind of scared at first because he's a loud person, to say the least. I actually have one of my own shirts that I get all the people who are on the show to sign, and he signed, the entire middle and took up a whole lot of space. But he's 21. He's actually in his 5th year. He is a history major as of right now, and he was originally computer science. So this is really important because this is a story that's very common in college students. And I think, listening to someone who's gone through that, going from computer science to history would definitely benefit someone who doesn't know what they're doing or is not sure. And it's stories like these that I think that are, crucial and are the reason why I want people to, listen to this podcast. Outside of that, we talk about a little bit about the tattoo that he has. It's a gigantic tattoo, covers his entire back. That's pretty cool. And we talk about him as a mascot, which is, I always found it really interesting. I never got, where you start with, being like a mascot professionally or like, really putting your time into it. But we talk a lot about that. We actually started off with that. And all in all, just, great conversation as always. And then, it was good. And then the little update that I have is that on this one, the intro and outro are going to be the same as the last one. But what I'm probably going to be doing is cutting it even more because I feel like it's still kind of long. I don't really want you to sit through like the 30 seconds. I want it to be like 10 to 15 more or so. But I kind of want to make it a little longer for the first 2, just test it out, and also give, a little bit more credit to my friend who made it for me and, put his artistic capabilities out there for the world to hear. And I think that wraps it up. So episode 11 with Wolfie. Here he goes. Thanks for listening. Close that. Anyway, this is so intimate. You should be in my face, but then talking into a mic.
Do I just talk just like this?
Yeah, just look me in the face, lovingly.
I don't know if I want to. And can I just watch this one?
You just want to watch the screen?
I'm just gonna.
It's literally just a conversation.
Can I watch the thing?
You look like a girl, like on a first date when it goes out to you guys.
Thank you.
You're gonna watch the recording?
Yeah, I kind of want to watch it. Yeah.
So why do you refuse to be taken in an alias?
Oh, because I think that if I was watching if I was listening to a podcast, I would want to know
the person.
Yeah, I want the person to be accountable for what they said. Right?
Okay, but either way, there's no video to this recording.
Yeah,
so like your name's affiliated with it. Like, okay. Do you want me to like specifically put your Facebook page, like your Facebook profile?
Put my Twitter handle.
You put your Twitter
at Mr. Megos. Hit me up at Mr. Megos. There you go. MISTER.
So you're not okay. So the reason I keep it anonymous for the people that I record with is specifically because I believe that because originally I wanted to record when no one was paying attention, and then let them know after that I recorded our conversation. And then put it out. Obviously, I can't put it out without letting them know.
Letting them know, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I would tell them at the end of it's like, I recorded this. Would you guys be cool? But the thing is, like, no one wants to put out anything that they mistakenly would say, and it would get them in trouble. So the point is, I wanted to be anonymous and not have name or face affiliated, so that a person who's in college going for a job, professionally speaking, cannot get in trouble for saying something. If they're not connected to it, no one can say anything.
Huh. All right, so here's the thing. If that's like your thing, your niche, where the person is anonymous, then fine. But if it's
no, it's not my niche. Each person has a decision.
It sounds like no. I'm not labeling you. I'm saying like if it's like the thing, right, where it's like an anonymous and that's like you know what I mean, like that's your gimmick, then fine. But like if it's up to the, it is
up to the person. So you
I know.
Specifically, like you want to be
like no. It's just like I don't care is what I'm saying. So if you prefer
don't bullshit me. You don't care. You specifically yelled at me and said, "Nah, I don't want no fucking alias."
I don't. That's why I like. I'm cool with having my name.
Okay.
But if you I'm not gonna hold anything back. You know what I mean?
Okay,
I'm gonna say the same stuff.
What I tell everyone in the beginning is I give them the option. A lot of people are like paranoid when I tell them it's like, oh, you can be anonymous, because they automatically assume it's like, oh, I might get in trouble for something I say. The anonymity factor is like just in case something happens or you say something, because even if it does, you say something really really bad, I can edit it out.
All right.
In a lot of cases, I have done.
All right. Let's keep it anonymous. Whatever.
No, it's too late. It's been recording and the Twitter handle's already there.
All right, dope. All right. Stephen Megos, Stephen. Hit me up on Twitter.
Because on the fifth one with Goko,
yeah,
me and him decided like he should not be anonymous because one, he didn't really say anything that would ever get him in trouble.
Oh, okay.
Two, he wants to be known for what he's doing,
for his thing,
for his talent. For
me too.
For his what is your talent? What is your talent?
I tweet.
I tweet. Follow him. I'm gonna link your Twitter. I'm 100%
please at Mr. Megos. All right.
So the first thing I want to go over with you is I think so for everyone I find one central aspect that I think is like very important to like their college career, and for you it was being Wolfie.
Being a mascot.
Being a college mascot.
Okay.
So I was a mascot in high school once. It was for one event. I was a cardinal and the head was broken, so I had to keep the head up the entire time.
Nice.
And I was just drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's fun. It was really fun being in there, especially when no one knows, and you get to do whatever you want, and you feel the vibe of the crowd, and you basically control it.
Definitely.
I remember at one point it was like I was bombing, I was doing horrible, and everyone's like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
And like it was really bad, and then it like completely flipped over. I started just mimicking one of the teachers, and everyone was loving it.
Yeah.
And I remember that I was so hyped. My energy just went up like through the roof after that.
Yeah.
So I want to talk. Like, what made you decide that you wanted to be, like, a mascot? And, like, what year your college career was that?
Okay. All right. That's a good question. So, when I was a sophomore in high school, so I was, how old was I? 17, 16, 15. So, 15. It was the very end of the year. I was having lunch with my friends, right? It was during our lunch break, whatever. And my best friend at the time, Matt Philippek, hit him up on Facebook.
Oh my God.
No. He, great guy, whatever. He, was one of my good friends, and I don't even think we were talking. He literally looked over at me and he's like, Steve, I feel like you'd be like a pretty good mascot. And I was like, what? Like, that's so weird. And he's like, because we were talking, we might have been talking about how we hadn't had a high school mascot, like a guy to show up at all the football games and all the basketball games. We hadn't had one of those in my entire high school life, and like probably for the past like 10 years.
So did you have like a mascot position?
We had a mascot. It was a position, and there was a suit, and they'd get like some person, either like some random student to do it for a pep rally, and that was it.
That was it.
But it wasn't like a
dedicated person.
Right. So I didn't say anything, and I looked at him, and I was like, I stood up and just started walking down the hallway, and he got up and he walked with me. Yeah, and I walked directly to the athletic director's office. And I was like, Mr. Merchant, I want to be the mascot. And he looked at me and he's like, dope, like, let's do it. Like, he's like, all right, well, because it was the end of the year, so there was no more events or anything. He's like, all right, well, next year it's yours. Like, that's your thing. I'm like, cool. And so then next year I did the pep rally, I did all the football games, and it was the first pep rally. I maybe had done a couple other like appearances and events, but the pep rally was the first like big one.
Okay.
And I remember I remember getting called out of class early because I had to go get ready and kind of go over stuff with like the people hosting it and people doing, and it kind of gave me like, I was like part of, like this.
Yeah. The energy of the school, the games, like everything that was going on.
Yeah, exactly. And like all the kids got called out of class, whatever, like an hour before school, an hour and a half before school ended. But like for, an extra like 45 minutes, it was like I got to leave early. I got to go down. Yeah, I was special. Yeah, and it felt good. And then when I got there, I remember getting the suit on, and coming through, and I was like religious about it. No talking, no nothing.
So you kept like the anonymity factor, like very like to
very.
heart. Like you took it like seriously.
Very seriously. Okay. Very seriously. And I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of videos online. Yeah. I read a lot about people doing mascot and what it took and stuff. And it hit me when we were people were coming in for a rally or whatever, and people taking their seats in the stands, and then we're going for a little while. And it was the year that Psy had that Gangnam Style song. So, or it might have been the year before that the song came out. But so then the song came on, and I did the whole dance from like pretty much start to finish, fucking around with. Can I curse?
Yeah, you can.
Fucking around with teachers and stuff, and doing the dance, and everybody's like cheering, and then it was just like. It was just a cool experience seeing everybody, cheer and stuff. And then there was technical difficulties where like the microphones weren't working. So everybody's like kind of, it's like awkward. It was like a while. The IT people trying to figure it out. Like the guy, like the president and vice president, like trying to figure
sitting around.
Yeah, it was weird. So then I start like messing with the teachers, start like dancing, whatever. And then like they start, like everybody starts like cheering for me.
Right.
Yeah, I forget. People might have been saying like because the mascot's name was Buzz, but nobody ever said it. So it might have just been doing like Yellow Jacket or Hastings or something like that. But it was like I was the guy. I was like dancing. Everybody was like cheering for me, and like it was this weird feeling that I had never had before. It was like I was the performer, and it was a total like self-centered like me moment. It wasn't, like, and it was just like a greedy like. Everybody's looking at me, and I like it. And
would you
then
say
I
that
was just
before that you were like, I don't want to generalize it too much, but like a popular, not popular type of person, where it's just like
no, I wasn't popular. Like I didn't like there were popular kids and there were not popular kids, and like,
did your high school have like the typical like cliques and all that?
Oh yeah. I mean, there were kids that would go and drink on the weekends, and like Friday nights I'd stay up with my friend Matt playing board games until 3:30 in the morning, playing Risk and stuff. Like that was me, So, and like, I wasn't smart enough to be like a nerd. I wasn't like...
You were like right in the middle.
If anything, I was like the geekier jock.
Okay.
Because I was like really, really sporty, and I was good at the sports that I did, and I was athletic, but I wasn't like... Cool. I didn't go out to parties and stuff.
That type of stuff. Okay.
So then doing the mascot thing, it really gave me this like superpower kind of feeling. And then when I got into college... and I was a sophomore when I started, and somebody
recommended it to you.
Well, yeah, there were ads playing in the SAC where it was like, if you want to be Wolfie, you can sign up online and whatever. And my friend Anna saw it, and she said to me, or her and actually my friend.
Did she go to your high school, or
but she knew that I had done it in high school.
Okay.
And she and my other friend Lauren were like, Steve, if you're thinking about it, you should try and apply. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe. I applied that night.
Maybe played it cool.
Yeah. Didn't say anything. Went to the meeting. Went to like for people interested. Whatever. Did my tryout. Got it. And then I told my roommate at the time and my girlfriend at the time. And other than that, nobody knew.
So again, like you kept it very secretive.
Yeah, took it very, very seriously. And in college, I was part of a team, so it was more than just me, which I had to get used to. But I appreciated having a group of guys that were like dedicated and like willing to kind of keep it secret and really, really just be committed towards something that I had a passion for, and then it was just kind of all history from then on, I guess.
Right. So, how big of an impact do you think that made on your college career? It definitely made a huge impact.
College,
how you spent your time is one thing.
Yeah. So I had the opportunity to run track at a different at Stevens Institute of Technology, and then I eventually got the opportunity to run track here as well as a walk-on, and I didn't do either of those. For Stevens, I didn't want to go to the school, so it was kind of even though I wanted to run track there, and then for here I was dealing with classes and stuff, so I didn't know if I could handle the workload of being on the track team also. So when I came to college, being on track and playing soccer was a huge part of my life, and then coming to college and not having that was like it was different. There was a piece like missing. So being on a team having practices, having meetings, like having like perform like something that I had to this is my responsibility. I have to show up and be that guy, as like being depended on. Yeah. And that was big for me. I liked being depended on, and I liked being the center of attention. So it was so then getting the spot as a mascot and being part of a team was huge in terms of just like me being happy and like my mental health and everything. Just kind of having that part of my life. Right. And so then I met a lot of really great people. I made a lot of cool friends. I learned a lot about myself and about working with people, and that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. So it was huge, and it still is huge. And I'm happy that I went through it, and I'm totally cool with like that part of my life being over, because I don't really see myself being a mascot in the future anyway, like professionally. But it was a good experience, and I'm happy that I went through it, and it was a massive part of my college life.
How many hours a week do you think you were putting in being Wolfie?
In the suit or just overall?
Let's do suit and then overall.
In the suit? So I would probably do. It depends, right, on the season, right? During football season, each game I would do half the game, right? So that would be 3, maybe 2 hours of suit time, plus another maybe 2 to 3 hours. Let's say 3 hours of other events. Right. So 5 hours a week going into like being in the suit, and then on top of that, another maybe 3 of physically mending and working on suits. And then there was meetings and
so this is a lot of time.
It was a lot, considering, especially since I had schoolwork also. Yeah. But and then so all in all, probably I'd say 8 to 10 hours probably isn't an exaggeration, or it's probably about right.
Yeah, that's actually a part-time job.
It was a commitment, and I was like, I thought of it just like, as if I was on a sports team, like I was on a team, and this was my responsibility, and I was cool with it.
So when did you stop caring about people knowing about you? Because given when I started knowing you, which was our sophomore year of college,
so my junior,
it was like maybe like a couple months in, you're like, yeah, it's me.
Yeah, it was. It was my first year doing it. I kept my cards close to the chest. Junior year, I had a guy that was on the team, or quote unquote on the team.
And he just like didn't care.
He didn't care, and he outed me to a lot of people at once. You were there for that, or at least I don't know if you were specifically there, but some of these guys were here. Yeah, and so then after that, it was a lot of my friends knew. One of my my circle, a group of friends, you guys all knew. So, but then my senior year, it's supposed to be once you're a senior, then like that's when you kind of like come out as the mascot. And so by the time my senior year, I told a couple people, and they were like, "What?" But other than that, it was like, most people had an idea. Before then, but just because it kind of came out.
Did it make you cooler? Do you think it made you cooler? I think it made you cooler.
It was definitely a good conversation starter, and it was...
How often did you play that card? How often did you play that card with girls? I feel like you had to play
pretty often. Pretty often, actually. I'm not proud of it, but...
No, I would 100% play
it. It's a cool thing about me, right? So, I mean, it's like... if a guy's on the football team, he's gonna tell you he was on the football team. I
say that like I'll casually be like, oh, like I'm a personal trainer, like sometimes.
Yeah, whatever. Personal trainer.
That's my thing. That's what I do. Yeah,
it's a part of you. It's interesting, right? Yeah. And if it gets you a conversation with a girl, then
it is what it is.
Use it. Whatever. I'm a college kid. Like I don't care. And the thing that I was dating somebody for a large portion of my mascotting life, so that kind of. But that's okay. That kind of helped me keep it to myself also. Right. But then once we broke up, then I was kind of just telling everybody.
Let loose.
I was like, oh, by the way, I'm actually the mascot.
If there's one like game or like one moment of you being Wolfie that like really stood out to you and you're like, damn, I fucking love this, what would you say that moment would be?
There are two. I'm thinking my first football game ever, I was a junior. Mm-hmm. So I had already been doing it for a year, but hadn't been in the suit for a game yet. Mm-hmm. And it was it was a season opener at home. It wasn't homecoming. Mm-hmm. It was first game of the season. We were playing New Hampshire. I can't remember. Somebody.
Doesn't matter. We're playing somebody.
Yeah, I was playing someone. And I had the second and fourth quarters. Okay. So, which is like...
Is that how they split you up?
What?
Is that how they split? Like, they take one quarter off?
There's a guy that'll do pregame, so the tailgating and stuff like that, as people coming into the thing, and then halftime. Mm-hmm. And then there's a guy that does first and third, and then second and fourth.
That makes sense.
So, first and third is important because you're the guy that does the run out, which a lot of us like that's
with the flag
honor, to do with the flag coming out of the smoke, leading the team onto the field. But the second and fourth is definitely the more difficult job, and that's the one I did the most because you're in the suit for the longest, because second and fourth is when teams are using timeouts and there are more commercial breaks during televised games and
so it's more like kind of segmented in a way where it's like the flow is a little fucky.
The floor is and if the game is closer, then you could be responsible for way more because that fourth quarter is like crucial. All on you. So to kind of put it in context, the way I kind of saw it as a being a mascot, there's the team, right, the players and the coaches, and there's the fans, and as the mascot you need to be connecting with both, so that way the fans can feel connected with the players and the players can feel connected with the fans, and you're a really, really important link that a lot of people sometimes won't see right away, but there is a real relationship there, and it's important. So I remember coming out of the tunnel for the second quarter, and the game was close, and going into halftime, it was all a blur. But I remember coming out of the gate swinging, 100% energy right out of the bat. I don't think I walked a single time. I was just running, ran up and down the field, up into the stands, up and down the aisles, taking pictures, grabbing onto people, high-fiving, cheering, just going as hard as possible. And I remember really feeling that relationship because people liked the energy that I was giving. I was getting it back. I was high-fiving and messing with coaches and players. There was a real connection. And then going into the second quarter, at the end of the second quarter, we returned a kick for a touchdown to tie the game, returned a punt to tie the game. And so going into the half, the players are hype. I'm going nuts, and so I remember, running all the way down the end of at one end of the field and to watch the punt return. Right. And so we return the punt, and I'm not expecting a touchdown, but he returns it all the way, scores, and now I have to run 100 yards down to the corner to pick up the flag and do a little celebratory wave thing with the flag. And that's also exhausting. So I had to run all the way down, pick up the flag, run widthwise across the field, do a wave, wait for the point after try, kick, it again, then do it again. So I'm really feeling that that
thing you did track
exhaustion. Yeah. So then I go into the tunnel with the team. I take my mask off and I'm just going nuts. Well, I'm drenched and I'm just the energy is at a whole different level from what I've ever experienced. Oh yeah. And I'm going. The players are grabbing on me because they just returned a kick for a touchdown. The game's tied. We're in it. They're grabbing on me. They're like, yeah, Wolfie. I'm like, let's fucking go. That's how you end a half. Going I was part of the team. Mm-hmm. And I go back to where my couple spotters and the other mascots are and whatever, and they're like, Steve, you gotta slow down, because you were going hard, and I was like, no way, I know what I'm doing. And so third quarter, a guy does his third quarter, and the fourth quarter, it's close. We game's still tied. I'm still going nuts, going hard, and then we eventually, we win the game, and off a field goal to take the lead or something like that. But it was all really just a blur, and I remember going back into the tunnel, cheering, and I'd still been giving it 100%, running up and down, and I had sweat completely through my undershirt, the mascot suit, which is about 3.5, 4 inches of fur, sweat through that and through the jersey I was wearing. So the jersey was just saturated with water, with sweat. Yeah, it was just complete. People weren't hugging me because I was soaked. Yeah. And so I took the hat off, and I'm fogging up, steam just coming off me just because of so much sweat. And I was just drenched, and I felt so good just because, it was that was my debut.
You were part of that team.
Yeah.
You felt the energy of the team, what was happening.
And that was my debut moment. And all of the other mascots were like, Steve, nobody's ever seen a mascot. That was a different level of energy. And that's what I was going for, and I got it, and it felt really good. And then, the next day was not good because I was dead.
Dead, yeah.
And I think I went back, showered, and took caffeine pills to stay awake, went out partying, and drinking whatever. Came back at 4 in the morning after doing all this, and I remember waking up and just I think I cried. I was in so much pain.
Oh,
it was I was just drained. I was depressed all day. Barely got out of bed. I was just physically exhausted and emotionally exhausted just from all that. But that was every week I mascotted a game. I would have those Sundays were just bad, but it was worth it.
Okay, so that was the first game. So what was the second game where you had that?
Oh, so the second game I just remember because we were playing New Hampshire. It was the first game where my mom and stepdad came to watch. So they were in the stands.
Oh, cute.
And that was fun. And I had done second and fourth quarter as well for the basketball games. And college basketball games are 2 20-minute halves, but we would split it up into our own, 10-10 halftime, 10-10, right? So I did the second 10 minutes of the first half and the second 10 minutes of the second half. So it was the fourth quarter or whatever, the last 10 minutes of the game, and we were playing New Hampshire. We had a win streak going. I don't even think we'd lost. We hadn't lost all season, and we went. I remember Jamil Warney would score, get a basket to go up by 1 point.
This one was for a basketball game.
Yeah, for a basketball game. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So we would score to go up by 1, then they would score to go up by 1. We would, and it went back and forth 6 or 7 times. So it was 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, and so eventually, I'm on the side of the court, losing my mind. The whole arena is just going ballistic, And so we're on defense. Warney had just made a layup to give us the 1 point lead, and their best player, their point guard, comes, driving down towards bring a ball. Stops at the 3-point line. Game clock is off. Maybe 10 seconds left in the game. Cam Mitchell is guarding him on the perimeter. Cuts off his right side. This guy's right side, and the point guard comes down the middle and goes up, and you just know this ball's going in.
Okay.
He comes up and he goes to lay it into the hoop, and
you feel it. Everyone's on their toes.
Yeah. Is there some moments where even when a guy releases a 3-point shot, you just know it's going in. And so this guy lays the ball up off his fingertips, and it's going for the hoop. And you just see not just the game, but just the season. We had the longest win streak in the country. We were on ESPN every week because we were winning so much. And then this huge, jacked black arm comes flying out of nowhere and just destroys this ball. And Jamil Warney had made the greatest block I'd ever seen in my life. I mean, the ball was almost at the peak. It was almost goaltending.
Yeah.
This guy made this block.
I don't know, just swats it.
And then I just pretty much just blacked out. I don't remember anything after that. It was just so much energy from everybody was just 100% energy, and I remember just running onto the court, just running up the stands, just going nuts. Like the head of the mascot suit almost came off, but just like that, like college basketball atmosphere was just alive and strong in that arena. That was huge. That was a blast.
Do you definitely think that Wolfie being a mascot made your relationship to sports a lot stronger?
Definitely.
I mean, because you already said you had a background in sports.
Yeah, I was always athletic. I didn't watch as much sports as I do now in high school. Mm-hmm. Watching that much college basketball and being a mascot for a good college basketball team definitely made me, because right now my favorite sport is college basketball. I watch as many games as I can.
I think it's a lot more intense. There's a lot more on the line.
Oh yeah, it's so much better than NBA in my opinion, and I think definitely my relationship with sports changed. Now I watch everything. I watch World Series of Poker. I watch golf. I watch tennis. I watch NFL. I don't watch NHL. That's the only thing I don't watch.
Why not? I watch hockey.
Yeah, no hockey.
Why not?
I don't like hockey.
So you watch golf and poker, but not
I watch golf, poker, soccer, baseball, everything, but I don't watch hockey.
Interesting.
And I guess it's because maybe we do have a good college hockey team, but it's a club team, so it's not as
big a deal.
So I never did any games for the hockey team, just because I
never got invested.
I find
really
it boring.
Okay.
So it's just personal preference. But yeah, my relationship with sports definitely got stronger.
Did your parents ever quit? Because you said your mom, stepdad came for one of those games.
Yeah, my mom.
Did they ever question you, spending this much time being Wolfie?
Worry about it?
Maybe worry or just wonder why?
Why?
Just a why?
No, because they would come to high school football games every week, and so when they heard me talking about it, when they saw me doing it, it was like
they knew that you wanted
it was a part of my life, and they knew that it was helping me on multiple levels. So I think they were proud of me. I mean, I know they were proud of me, and no, they never
because me personally, I know it's if I told my parents, I mean, it's different for me, I guess, because the immigrant mentality of brown people.
Maybe.
But I know for a fact if I was doing mascot, my parents would be no, focus on your studies.
Yeah,
what are you doing? You're wasting your time.
Well, for me, when I was in high school, when I wasn't on a sports team, my grades dropped significantly from when I was on a sports team. I did better going to practice. I did better in my school.
He scheduled you more.
Yeah, just having that, being that physically using my body, playing sports, doing things, that makes me who I am. I've always been an athletic person. I've always liked sports. I've always liked competing, especially. That's the biggest
I 100% feel it. This entire semester, I haven't been able to work out because of some of the I've told you, I talk about that all the time. I have random injuries,
right?
And I haven't really been able to work out consistently. And it's I know my body's missing those endorphins.
Yeah.
There was a point.
Definitely.
There was a point in the beginning of the semester where I hadn't worked out in 4 or 5 weeks, and I was genuinely just feeling upset, constantly. I couldn't figure it out. And then one day I thought, I haven't been to the gym in weeks.
Yeah.
And I went to the gym the next day, and I still I was there for an hour just doing cardio, just sweating it out.
Yeah.
And right after that, I was I feel so much better.
Yeah, you accomplished something.
Yeah, my body is just good. You did something.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I've had I've had a number of injuries. I broke my arm on separate occasions, which put me out for soccer season one year and out for track season, and that was rough. I did not do well, and then when there was maybe a semester or season once where I didn't do a sport because I thought that I should focus on my studies, and I ended up doing worse because I had to have that
I feel I've been doing worse this semester because I haven't had the gym.
Yeah,
it's
that's
weird.
Huge.
It's really weird. How's your shoulder doing?
Oh, not good. Whatever. I mean, it hasn't dislocated in a while, but it's definitely a little tight. But I've been staying off of it and focusing
doing
on
little therapy exercises.
Yeah, and it's definitely gotten stronger. I have to be more cautious with it, but it's good. I think it popped out twice when I was in the suit, which sucks. Yeah. But I mean,
you just pop it back in, or you
pop it back in, and you pop it back in, and then my arm there's probably a video somewhere of my left arm just kind of dangling somewhere. Yeah, but then eventually you kind of regain the strength, and then you can start moving it. But I can't move it all. Especially in the suit, after it would pop out, I wouldn't be able to raise my arm all the way. So doing certain chants would be tough.
Okay.
I mean, I got through it.
Tough guy.
Yeah. What's pain, right?
All right. So from Wolfie talk, I'm now gonna move over to tattoos because you have a fucking giant olive branch on your back.
Okay.
And personally, it's like again, everyone can get whatever they want.
Right.
I don't. It doesn't matter to me.
Sure. Yeah.
I just think it's interesting that you chose. Well, one, there is like history to why you get that tattoo. Yeah. I think it's interesting how big you made it.
Okay.
So I want to talk about like when you made that decision, why you made it, and like, do you regret it at all?
Okay. All right. So I guess I'd have to start from the beginning, right? So I had always wanted a tattoo. Mm-hmm. At first, I started thinking about getting a Greek symbol, a Greek key around my arm, around my bicep.
Mm-hmm. Key info, he's Greek.
What?
You're like letting people know that you come from like
Greek. Oh yeah, I'm Greek. Family. Yeah. Both of my parents are immigrants.
A frat boy.
No, I'm not Greek. Like no. Both my parents were born in Greece. They're both Greek. Greek is their first language. But yeah, so I was born in the United States, but I'm 100% Greek. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to get a key around my arm, and I was thinking about it for a while, and wasn't so sure. Talked to my uncle, who has a lot of tattoos, mm-hmm. Uncle George, and I asked him what he thought, what he went through with his first tattoo, blah blah blah, and he said that two things: don't get a tattoo just for the sake of getting a tattoo, mm-hmm. and if you get a tattoo, don't make it small because then you're going to want to just keep adding more BS tattoos.
It's not going to be fluent.
Make something that
to it.
That means to you.
Yeah.
And so immediately I thought of an olive branch just because there's so much significance to my life, mm-hmm. and which I guess I'll get into. And then, but when I came up with that idea, I waited a year. So it was like the summer of between my sophomore and junior year of college. Mm-hmm. And so then the next year I still wanted the same tattoo. So I was like, all right.
Okay, yeah, because that's one of the things that I took away from one of the podcasts I listened to. It's like, get a professional drawing of it.
Yeah.
And, put it up somewhere in your room or like, somewhere you'll see it every single day.
Yeah.
And if you see it every single day and you're still not sick of it after an extended period of time, that's when you can commit to this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will just get it, and
and then they're stuck with something that they don't like.
Yeah.
So, but that was my personal preference. I after a year, I thought that was enough time.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
that's a pretty long time.
Yeah, I think so. And I found an artist that I really like. I like his work, mm-hmm. as well as I like
person.
It took me 8 hours to get the thing done, so I needed to be around somebody that I actually enjoyed being with. And so this guy Fabian at Big Joe and Sons in Yonkers, mm-hmm. and he and I just kind of hit it off, and he does great work, and then that was kind of it. I told him I wanted an original design, which means that I didn't look through a template or mm-hmm. anything and say this is what I want. Mm-hmm. I showed him a couple pictures. I explained to him what I was looking for, and that I trusted his artistic ability. Mm-hmm. So I told him, I'll give you $50 right now just to make a picture, just mm-hmm. to draw it, mm-hmm. right? And I'll come back in a week, and if I like it, we'll do it. Mm-hmm. He said, cool. And a week later, I went back and visited him, and he showed me what he had, which was exactly what I asked for. There were a couple adjustments that I asked if he mm-hmm. could make, and he said, perfect. And then that day, we started. And then 4 hours later, I had the outline done on my back mm-hmm. in ink. I had to wait 4 weeks for that to heal because it's a scratch. He's carving into my back, with a needle, and it's big. So I had to wait for it to scab over and heal before he could be in shading, which took another 4 hours. And then, so after a month, 2 sessions.
So you did it in only 2 sessions.
2 sessions. He asked if I wanted to do.
That's a pretty short amount of time for how large your tattoo is.
Yeah, he said something that size. People usually do. Like 4 sessions, mm-hmm. Maybe like 2 and a half, 2 hours a session. I was like, and then he said, you'll decide how painful it is, right? Mm-hmm. And I guess, my pain tolerance was enough where I could sit there. I could have done the whole thing all in one shot, but he physically couldn't do the whole thing.
The silhouette had to dry out first.
Right. So he couldn't finish and done. So he was like, he did the outline. He's like, all right, I'll see you in a couple weeks. And I was like, all right, word. And then that was it.
So why make it as big as it is? Because mind you, your tattoo is the entirety of your back.
Yeah, it pretty much goes from my lower back all the way up to my
like
around my left shoulder
yeah.
and up to the bottom of my neck.
Yeah.
So it's definitely substantial. Why did I make it that size?
Yeah.
Well, the meaning of the tattoo to me is very important. I came to my parents came to the United States. My mom, after working in a bank for a long time, started her own olive oil business. Olives and olive trees are a huge part of Greek culture and Greek history. So,
do you know specifically why? Like, what is the role that it plays
in Greek culture? Yeah. So, Greece is a very dry country, or at least a very hot, but it's still a Mediterranean country. So, and one of our biggest, exports in the country is olive oil, right? We produce a massive amount of olives and olive oil, and we have for a very, very long time, whether it be on the mainland, up in the north, in the south where my mom is from, on the islands where my dad is from. There's olive trees everywhere. So it's sort of, from going back to ancient times to today, there's artwork that shows...
It's just like a crucial natural endowment that
to the country, sure, okay. So it played a pretty big significance in my life. I felt a real connection to my country through it, but I also found a big connection to, my mom through it, because she gave up her career in banking. She was working on in the city in some pretty big banks to begin exporting olive oil from our hometowns to the United States, and that was her passion. She loves it. She's still doing it. Her business is doing very well. Hit her up on Oiladi, OILLADI. Shameless plug. Okay. Hit her up. So that was huge to me. Seeing somebody that was already having kids, being married. Somebody. She was in her 50s when she started. Yeah. And so that was big to me. So making it the size that the tattoo
is kind
of as big as I want, as I did,
proportional to how much.
I figured my back is my biggest canvas, and I figured fuck it, why not use it, right? And I'm super super happy with my decision. I see it, I look at it every day, and I love. Yeah, it's a piece of art, and I get to carry it with me for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Did your mom ever question it?
No, she always said that she didn't want me to get a tattoo, and then I told her that I was going to get one. She was kind of like, all right. And then she and my dad both said, all right, fine, whatever you get, we're getting the same thing. And then I was like, all right, fine. And I guess they expected me to kind of
get something small.
To either get something small or to reconsider.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna call your bluff right now. Got it across my whole back, and they're like, yeah, fuck that. That's a little ridiculous. So then and so they didn't end up getting. My mom wants to get one now, so we'll see if she ends up going to do that.
Dope. I cannot wait. I haven't figured out what I want to get tattooed yet. I know that I want a 3/4 sleeve, like like the
from just the bottom.
From okay. All the way up to my shoulder to like mid pec maybe, and covering like the shoulder. I also want to get my upper back done, and I haven't found the design that I really want. I know, and this is gonna sound like really like you're gonna get that, is I really want Japanese art, because personally I love just like the meanings behind certain Japanese arts, like the whole idea of balance with yin and yang and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it's very cliche. It's very often done. The thing is, I would never get like Japanese words or anything like that. I think that's
something that you don't know the meaning.
Yeah. I think that's kind of dumb. Everyone can do whatever they want, but personally, I wouldn't want to do that. I want something that's very, very artistic, something where it's you look at it, you're like, holy shit, that is there is depth to that.
Sure.
But I haven't found that design yet. I haven't found the thing that I think would be central to the design, because I want it needs to have meaning. I don't want something that doesn't have meaning. Even if it looks dope, eventually it's I just got it because I wanted to get it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, actually, because before I got my tattoo, I was definitely more judgmental about other people and their tattoos. And then just kind of oh, that's not a good tattoo, or oh, that's I don't like that one, or something like that. But then I got mine, and I was looking at the same people with the same tattoos, and being
why? I wonder why they got that.
Yeah, well, not even that. It's they got it, and that's cool. If you like your tattoo,
that's all
other
that
people will other people will acknowledge that. And that's I also like that I got it on my back, because it's a place that I can show to only people that I want to show it to.
Right.
Right. So if it's something on my arm,
It's always
or,
there.
Yeah, it's something, or even like, I could wear long sleeves, right? But if I want to wear a t-shirt,
It's there.
or if I want to wear a tank top,
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see a little bit on the like upper back, but like I could pretty much I could show it to only the people that I want to show it to.
Right.
There's never a situation where somebody that I don't.
Oh, it's
want
like
to
why'd you
Right.
get that tattoo? Like there's no situation where someone would be able to question it.
Yeah, and like sometimes, and I like that privacy, right? Like maybe for whatever reason I don't want person X to know that I have a tattoo for whatever reason. Fuck them, whatever. I can choose, maybe I just picked that person that day. So having it on my back, it's. I
mean, you're definitely not a shy guy. You've mooned me on multiple occasions.
Oh, my pants are completely different. Those come off all the time. My shirt though, that I got it. You got to work for that. The pants I'll take off for free. The underwear I'll take off.
Oh god, good thing you plugged yourself. Everyone wants to see his ass.
You want to see a picture of my ass? It's hairy at Mr. Megos. I tweet pictures of my ass all the
time. All right. Last thing is I always talk to people about school for a little bit.
Okay.
Just because,
okay.
Obviously, like it's essential to like college students.
Right.
So you're in so you did 4 years and now you're doing an extra semester. So I want to talk about like I think you originally said you were what was it computer science?
Computer science.
Yeah, computer science, and your history now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like kind of like summary of like that transition of like your decisions through that process.
Okay, so I guess picking a computer science major was pretty simple, actually. I knew I was coming to Stony Brook, and I knew that I was, going to a school that had a very good engineering program and had a good math program and one of the best computer science programs in the world. So I was like, all right, you know what? If I'd applied for the engineering school, right, which is where the computer science major is,
right,
and I had already gotten in not only to Stony Brook but to the engineering school. So I thought, why not pick a major in the engineering department? And I thought, I guess, like if I didn't like it, I could just switch out. And that's what I ultimately ended up doing, except I stayed kind of pushing through the computer science major longer than I should have, looking back, right? But then it was after the first semester, I did really well in my first computer science class. I enjoyed it. So I was like, all right, let's do the next one. Went to, CSE 114.
It's one of those weed out classes.
Yeah, it was like the
114 is the first weed out, and then it's 214, I think, is the second one.
Is the second, yeah. So I did well in 114, and I didn't like it. And that's when I should have known that I should have stopped. But because I did all right, I was like, all right, I guess I'll do 214. And I didn't do as well in 214, passed the class, didn't do as well as I would have liked, and did not like it. And I also took CSE 215 at the same time, which was a math class, so it was different, but which I still didn't like. But then, I was also taking the physics classes and the math and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and then it was my junior year, right? I guess, was it my junior year? Yeah, junior year. It was like the first week of classes, and the same friend that pointed out I should try out to be Wolfie was sitting there in my room, and she was like, because I was talking about some history thing that I'd read, and she was like, Steve, you should, have you ever thought about being a history major? And I didn't say anything. I looked at her, looked at my computer, and enrolled in history classes and dropped out all of my computer science classes.
Man, you are balls to the wall.
Yeah, it was
every decision that you've made.
That's kind of my problem. It was literally, I didn't say anything. I literally opened up my Solar account, my computer, Stony Brook, classes account, whatever, and I just dropped out of my computer science classes just like that. And I enrolled in my history, and I called up my mom and I told her, and she's like, "What took you so long?" And then that was it. And now I'm much happier with what I'm doing. I like my classes a lot. It's just taking me more time than I originally expected, but I'd rather spend the extra semester or year or whatever taking classes that I like instead of failing at all the classes I don't. So that's really it. I mean, if I had any advice to anybody, it would be first I'd say don't even go to a university for 4 years right away. Go to a community college or go to a small school.
Feel something out.
Yeah, exactly.
People have this thing where it's you go to high school and you immediately go to college now.
When I was in high school, I went to an extremely competitive high school where it was everybody. It was Ivy League or bust, and like
same.
you had to be going to like, and I totally fell into that where it was like, oh, I want to go to a
go
good
to
school
because
I got to show off to people that I'm never going to see again anyway. But you know, I didn't think about that at the time. So then I'm happy that I picked Stony Brook, right? But if I could ask somebody else to do it, I would say either go to a state school like I did, or go to a smaller or a 2-year community college.
I say if you're not committed to something and you don't know 100%, don't go to a private institution.
Yeah, and 99% of people don't know.
Yeah.
And when you go to school and people are like, oh, I'm going to be they don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know what they're talking about.
They're full of shit and they're lying to you and to themselves. But forget about them. Just take your core classes, your prerequisites,
slowly try to figure it out.
Yeah, and then when go to a school and get your degree.
Yeah.
There's no
rush.
Take 4
if you
years,
can
5
take
years.
time, take your time.
Yeah, there's really no rush. So I'm glad with the decision I made, and
So what are you planning on doing with this now? What are your goals from here on out?
So grad school is an option. I've been thinking about possibly not. I have an opportunity to go to a grad school on the once I graduate, right, and finish my undergrad. But I'm not sure that I'm going to do it. I might look for work in another field that I'm passionate about and do that instead. But for now, honestly, right now my biggest, I guess what I'm kind of working towards is once I graduate, I'm probably going to move to, or at least go to Florida for a little while and look for work, working, get a certification so that way I can become a deckhand on a ship, and then hopefully work at sea for a while, because that's one of my biggest passions. Probably more so than working on boats and sailing.
Very specific.
Yeah, well, yeah, just working on ships, right? Like I know how to sail very well. I've been on very long sailing trips before, so I'd like to do something with that. But I don't really see myself going to school for another 4 years.
Okay,
just because I'm not very good at school. So.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that. All right, so we got a couple minutes left. Do you want to touch on any incendiary topics? Because this was honestly a lot more tame than I thought it was going to be.
I guess. I mean, I didn't curse as much. I didn't moon Imran yet, but
he's been closed the entire time. It's honestly shocking. I'm amazed.
I don't know. I mean, I guess the last thing I'd like to say is best of luck with your podcast, I guess. And I haven't listened to all the episodes. I listened to the first 2. I love it. I'm going to keep listening to them. I'm definitely going to listen to mine because I'm an egotistical piece of shit. And, best of luck to you, Imran, and I hope that this does well. And to all the aspiring mascots out there, good luck. And I hope you enjoy it, I guess. That's really it.
Fucking lit. All right, cool, man. Now you got to get to class now. So
yes,
thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And that was a good talk.
Cool. Is there anything else I need to do, or is that it?
No, that's it.
Cool.
We're done.
See you later.
Peace.